Philip, you've got some things that we need to bring up about the economy, if you'd like to share.
Yeah, well, you know what? We will probably have, we will have probably the most important economic recovery of our generation, which will be coming up after the pandemic. Of course, we want to make sure that we're following provincial guidelines, but if we're able to get those vaccines that were unfortunately too delayed in getting out to Canadians, we now need to put our shoulder to the grindstone and open our economy safely. Of course, safety is always job one, but after we've got people vaccinated, we need to get this economy back open to make sure that everyone in Northumberland, Peterborough South can have a great job and the businesses can flourish once again.
Do you have ways on getting that going, or how do we do that, I guess, is a...
Yeah, so I'm a big believer that local is nearly always best. And so what I want to do is have, we're going to have the economic recovery tour where I'm going to hear from business owners, from local municipal leaders about what they believe is best and what they're needed. I suspect that we're going to hear a lot about economic recovery and the way that government can clear the runway. Like ultimately, it won't be the government that is going out there providing the services, creating the jobs, but the government can help clear the runway. Let's reduce cumbersome regulation. Let's reduce any type of obstacles or barriers or taxation that it's inhibiting our great business owners from doing what they do best, which is create jobs and generate prosperity for our community.
As it's been so far, what's been the frustrating thing that you've been hearing?
Yeah, so I obviously it's been a challenge throughout the COVID pandemic, and the lockdown regulations were required and needed to keep us all safe. The challenge, though, is how do we get out of this recovery? How do we get things back started? So once people are vaccinated, how do we get people to go back to shopping, getting back to restaurants? Once we're able to do it safely, how do we make that happen? And so that's a number of the issues. We also have a bit of a paradoxical situation where we have record high unemployment in Canada, over 9.4%, which is the highest in the G7. But we also have employers who are screaming for employees. And so we need to make sure that we put those things together, make sure that everyone in Northumberland, Peterborough South has the opportunity to have a great job as we transition away from those supports, which were necessary to get us to this day. But now we need to get that economy back going, because $2,000 a month just isn't enough for people to live on. We need to bring back great jobs that pay $30, $40, $50 an hour.
The frustrating part that I've heard in some ways is that the government was giving out the money, or is giving out the money. There are jobs there, but in some, not necessarily in all, and definitely not in all, but people didn't want to work because they are getting the money.
Yeah, I think Canadians by and large want to get back to work, but what we can't have is we can't have policies in place that actually make it more difficult for Canadians to return to work. Like in the initial stages, you remember, of the CERB benefit, it would actually cost you, it could cost you up to $1,900 to earn $100. And so there should never be a disadvantage to work. And one of the things that I want to work on actually in Finance Committee and with respect to the budget is that they're actually on different amounts of wages that you earn. So if you earn $40,000 or $50,000, when you go between $40,000 and $50,000, you can actually see tax increases upwards of 50 or 60 or even 70% because of the clawback of government benefits. And so we should never disincentivize work. I know that Canadians want to get out there, they want to work hard, but we can't put artificial barriers as a government. So we always have to incentivize and encourage work, because that's what Canadians want.
You want boots to the ground. You want people to let you know what they want, I guess?
Oh, absolutely, right. As I said, I'm a huge believer that most great ideas don't come from Ottawa. They come from places like Cobourg, Crammy, Port Hope, and Campbellford, and that's where we want to get those ideas and bring them back to Ottawa, because I believe Ottawa works best when we're taking great ideas and from the communities and implementing them, as opposed to an Ottawa knows best solution.
Will you be going to them, or do you want them to come to you?
I'm going to be walking down the main street, and we're reaching out to business owners as well. But please don't hesitate to contact our offices. I'm willing to take any and all ideas. The more that we hear, the better ideas we come up with.
Is it light at the end of the tunnel? Are we starting to, like we're talking about today, now we're starting to get back into I don't want to say the word normal and jinx it, but I mean, are we are things becoming, are we over the hump?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, unfortunately, the vaccines were way too slow in getting in Canada, but now we're reaching a point where the United States will be fully vaccinated by the end of May. I believe the UK about the same, and so that we will have production capability for a vaccine in the world that hopefully we'll be able to start getting from the back of the line and getting Canada's share of vaccines. And once we get certainly the most vulnerable vaccinated, but then eventually everyone who wants a vaccine will be great. And I would be pushing the government. Let's get those jabs in the shoulders as quickly as we possibly can, because I mean, you know, Pete, you travel this community from one edge to the other. How many businesses are based on summer tourism? And if we could save the summer, if we could get Canadians largely vaccinated instead of at the end of September, but actually before the summer, that would be fantastic, and we'd probably save thousands and thousands of jobs.